My name is Adam Jackson, and this is my informative speech. For my speech, I decided to focus on the history of World War II, and more specifically, D-Day. I chose this topic because I feel as though, at least for me personally, I was never taught much about either World War in school, and so I think that it's important for future generations to not forget about these historic events. So for me, I use this as a platform to learn more about D-Day and hopefully educate others as well. D-Day was an invasion on the beaches of Normandy in northern France by troops from the United States, Canada, and United Kingdom on June 6, 1944. At the time of the invasion, France was occupied by Nazi Germany. According to History.com, last access July 31st, 2025, by the end of the day, D-Day, 156,000 Allied soldiers landed on the beaches. Roughly 4,000 Allied troops were killed by German soldiers despite the successful landing on the beach. At the time, the D-Day invasion was the largest naval, land, and air operation in history. According to Eisenhower Presidential Library.gov, last access July 31st, 2025, General Eisenhower's speech to the troops showed that he believed the events of D-Day will lead to an eventual end of the war, which ultimately ended up happening. After D-Day, the war was pretty much going into the direction of the Allies. Many know the main details of World War II, such as Hitler and Nazi Germany losing. The Holocaust was also happening during this period, and also the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki on Japan. But there are so many stories and people who should never be forgotten. Before I start to move forward with this topic, most of my knowledge of D-Day came from the movie Saving Private Ryan with Tom Hanks. In this movie, Tom Hanks and his soldiers landed on the beaches of Normandy, and there was a massive opening scene, and it showed the carnage and the atrocities of war. That was my only real impression, or my only history of D-Day from what I knew personally. From what all I saw was from the movie, so I had a lot to learn as well on this topic. I found an interview on YouTube from a channel called Memoirs of World War II. The interview is of Sherwin Callender, a World War II soldier who had first-hand experience with the D-Day invasion. When talking about landing on the beaches, he said, quote, "The first wave I was on, and not a man survived out of that." He went on to talk about how once they landed on the beach, they had no cover at all from the Germans. So when they landed from the boats onto the beach, he said they had about 100 to 200 yards of no cover, and the Germans had machine guns up on a hill, and they shot down on them. He said in the interview, quote, "For at least 10 feet, the water was just red blood." The fiercest fight of D-Day was on Omaha Beach. The Germans were positioned on steep cliffs overlooking the shoreline. Machine gun fire took down soldiers as they were exiting their boats, like I just commented on. According to the National World War II Museum, June 6, 2024, by the end of the day, the Americans had taken control over Omaha Beach, but at a cost. Over 2,400 soldiers were killed on that beach alone. The Normandy invasion was one of the great turning points of 20th century history. The operation, commanded by General Eisenhower, involved the coordinated efforts of 12 nations. The beaches of Normandy were chosen because of the element of surprise. Hitler and the Nazis expected an attack by the Allies, but they didn't know where it would take place. They assumed it was going to happen in a different part of Europe. They got a tip from sources that were incorrect from the American side, the British side, and as a result, there were not as many reinforcements for the Allied troops to deal with. If the invasion of D-Day had failed, the outcome of the war could have easily went differently. I hope I was able to give a bit more knowledge and shed light on the importance of D-Day. I also hope I may have inspired others to learn more about D-Day, as well as the events of World War II as a whole. Thank you.